artery running from the heart of Kent to the sea, vital for business and industry, and a crucial line of defence against invasion.
The Romans, the Normans, and various kings and queens, they all knew the strategic importance of this river, and in order to repel any force, it was vital to secure its crossings.
Although we don't have to worry too much about invading armies today, there is a battle raging here.
But unlike great river battles of the past, this one is taking place beneath the surface, in deep, murky waters.
This is a battle for ownership and control of the Medway Tunnel. There's a deal being struck, and it looks like you and I could be the losers.
There's going to be a millstone around the neck of Medway Council taxpayers of around £2 million every year.
Would you give this deal your blessing?
No, I wouldn't. Absolutely not.
The Medway Tunnel has been crucial to the regeneration of this part of Kent. More than 40,000 drivers pass through it every day. It was built in 1996 at a cost of £80 million, most of that money coming from the government.
But this now vital link under the river would never have been built if it hadn't been for a private, secretive organisation called the Rochester Bridge Trust.
It may seem odd for a bridge trust to own a tunnel, but when no one else wanted to take responsibility for this huge hole in the ground, the Rochester Bridge Trust stepped in and took it on. And they appeared to be just the right people for the job, because managing Medway's river crossings is something the Rochester Bridge Trust has been doing for more than 600 years.
Well, it was founded in 1399, not the trust, but the mechanism for the trust, by Richard II, and he wanted to make sure that the crossings of the River Medway were maintained.
So it's got a rich, rich history. Where does it get all its money from? Because it can't be cheap to upkeep these sort of structures.
Well, do remember it's been around for 600 years. It was given a number of endowments, land and money to start with, and that has been very wisely invested over the years. And it's not cheap to maintain. It's very expensive to maintain these bridges and the tunnel.
But this historic trust's bills are about to go down. Because after owning the tunnel for just under 13 years, they've decided to sell it for £1. They're selling it to Medway Council, who are getting £5 million from the government and a hefty lump sum, possibly £3.5 million, from the Rochester Bridge Trust. It seems like a fantastic deal for Medway Council, but is it?
Well, on the face of it, it looks so. But when Medway Council, despite the extra money the government are going to get, have said we need another £2 million with this deal to ensure that the tunnel is properly maintained, no, it's not. And in a few years' time, there's going to be a £2 million deficit every single year. Now, that money will have to be either raised through council tax, or there'll have to be a cut in services. So it's a bad deal.
So why can't the Rochester Bridge Trust do what it was set up to do and carry on supporting a major river crossing?
If you look at this marvellous little booklet that was provided by the Rochester Bridge Trust, produced by them a few years ago, it does actually talk not only about the bridges, but it also talks about the tunnel. And if you see what it says, the tunnel was opened on the 12th of June 1996. In 2021, the Rochester Bridge Trust currently plans to take over operation of the Medway Tunnel. Now, that was always the policy of the Rochester Bridge Trust while I was a member of it, and I would hope that that would continue to be.
OK, so what's changed? That's the question we'd like to ask the current senior bridge warden, this man, Rodney Chambers.
While we're at it, we'd also like to know why Medway Council want to take on a potential liability.
So we'd like to speak to the leader of Medway Council, this man, Rodney Chambers. It's strange, but it's true. The leader of the organisation selling the tunnel is also the leader of the organisation buying the tunnel. Which means he can't talk to us about it. And when the deal is discussed at the council or the trust, the man who leads both organisations has to leave the room.
Rodney is a dedicated public servant for the Medway towns, no question about that. But it is a unique role to be the leader of a council, but also to be the head bridge warden. That means that you can't take part in discussions when those two organisations have a common interest. Is bizarre.
When you were the senior bridge warden, you advised against this individual taking this position on the Bridge Trust.
I was asked for my opinion, and I said I did not think any leader of a council which was involved with the Rochester Bridge Trust should take on the responsibility of being the senior warden, because that would in effect nullify the position he had.
But why does the council want to buy this tunnel?
I can only assume that they have this mistaken belief that somehow it will be a cash cow for them in the future, and I do wonder whether that means that they will seek to impose a toll on the Medway tunnel.
Could they do that?
I see no reason why they shouldn't.
So, potentially, there's a double whammy here. A hike in council tax and a toll to go through the tunnel. Both the council and the Bridge Trust have refused to talk to us face to face. The council did, however, issue a statement. It said it's not likely a toll will be needed, as they would probably use money from the local transport plan and could apply for future grants from the trust. So how does the motorist and the taxpayer have their say?
Everyone has a counsellor. They can contact their counsellor. Some of those counsellors will have to say, sorry, I can't comment because I'm also a bridge warden. There's also standards boards which are checks and balances to ensure that councillors are conducting themselves in accordance with the rules. There's the ballot box. There's petitions, there's letters, all of those things that are available. But of course, the Bridge Trust do not have to listen to any of them. They carry on completely without any regard of the public opinion here in the Medway towns.
If you're concerned about the Medway Tunnel deal, maybe the best advice is to write to Medway Council and the Rochester Bridge Trust. But whatever you do, don't mark your letters for the attention of Rodney Chambers, because he won't be allowed to read them.
Coming up, the hounds that are trained for